who has either been listening and wondering, what is she doing? Or has joined us on the little photographs below. We've had a wonderful time, and we're going to do it all over again just because we had such fun doing it the first time. Again, Nina Brown in Santa Fe, and today we are expanding on the concept and philosophy, which is what we're calling it now, of S.T.A.R, surrender, trust, allow, and receive. And we're taking it to the highest octave that we possibly can, and we're adding on to it in creative, flexible ways the word accept, and having a delicious conversation about what is the word accept and how does it impact our lives, and how does it look differently in an octave that is more expansive than third dimension. So let me welcome Ja-lene Clark.
Hello.
The publisher.
Hi-ho.
Well, let me just say two more words. Ja-lene is the inspiration behind the book S.T.A.R, a Now State of Being, and the book that Kristy Sweetland and I are currently writing called S.T.A.R, The Fascinated Observer's Guide. So Ja-lene, just say hi and wave again.
Hello. Hello. Look at Miss America. Hello. Or is it like this? I think it's like this you're supposed to do, the way.
Oh, that's the Queen of England. She does that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, well, I'm the Queen.
Wonderful. And Kristy Sweetland, who is my new friend and inspired writer and co-author of the book I just mentioned. Kristy, say hi.
Hello. Good to be here.
I love it. So, I think what I would like to do is to start with just a little example of why I think that accept is so critically important. And I think Kristy and Ja-lene are just going to laugh because we just heard this story, but we're going to hear version number 2 of it, which is if I am fortunate enough to have Kristy as a friend and she decides that she wants to invite me to a party, how exciting, she will probably send me an invitation. And what am I going to do with that invitation? I'm going to hold it unless it's on email, and then I'll just stare at it. But Kristy loves old-fashioned handmade paper, and she sent me a beautiful invitation. See, it's right here, this one. And what I'm saying to myself is, wow, I have an invitation from Kristy, and it's so beautiful and has such beautiful paper. I'm just not going to open it up. I'm going to hold on to it for, I don't know, as long as the paper lasts and doesn't disintegrate, maybe 2 years or something like that. So there has been no action step on my part. However, if I then decide I'm going to open it up, I have an action to take. And the action is to refuse or to accept. And if I accept this invitation, what happens? There's a change within me. I'll just begin to share with you what that might look like. I am going to feel appreciated, loved, included. I'm going to be excited about coming together with new friends. So there has been a change in my manner, my behavior, my belief. My belief is, oh, Kristy loves me. This is so wonderful. So accepting is so important after we receive. Ja-lene, how does that feel?
Well, it feels really good, and I know where this conversation is going. So I'm like, oh, I want to go there. So I'm gonna refrain from going there, and I'll go back to the invitation, because the invitation is something that we accept or something that we lose, something that we misplace. But there has to come a point where we accept that has been given to us, or we reject that which has been given to us. And sometimes it's easier to accept some things than it is to accept others. Like when we're moving forward octaves and we're going through this process of integrating information into our human self, what I've experienced is that I go through these cycles or octaves, if you want to call them octaves, where I have these understandings. I don't know why I understand what I understand, but I understand it so completely. It's like I've moved inside of it, and I'm one with its beating heart. And I don't know why I know what I know, but I know it. And I have a feeling that that's how a child prodigy feels. They're not concerned with whether they accept that they have this gift or not. You know, I think of some of the, young prodigies that you've heard playing the piano, and it's just the most blissful, incredible music coming from this little being that's not even supposed to know how to play the piano, but they just know how to do it. And they don't think through, I shouldn't know how to do this. I haven't had piano lessons. No one's taught me about that. I don't know how to read, much less read music, but I know how the melody flows, and I know how to move people with my music. That's accept to me. I mean, we're rolling through these things. We're having these epiphanies, this download of information that comes in, and so we're not questioning the information because we're at one with it.
I love that. It's just flowing with the innate wisdom, with
Yes.
no impact from the collective consciousness and no judgment.
Yes. Well, it's like, the plan that they've had for humanity since the beginning of time is pop them in a human body, let them go through some stuff, and then pop them out of there and put them in another human body so they can try it from a different point of view. But we're not doing that so much anymore. It's like, if I look at my lifetime, it's like I've had about 12 of them stacked into this one. And I can identify with all those people that I have been because that was me. But who I was 25 years ago and who I am now is very different. But yet I'm the same. So I can accept that I'm very different than I was then, or I can reject that and go, I remember that person from so long ago,
Wow. Kristy, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's about, when I go through the process of accepting, it seems like it's something that happens by no control of mine. It's an opening. It's a process that happens when somehow in the moment I embody and accept my own divinity, my purpose, my place as my truth. And I can receive words over and over and over and over again, but until whatever happens within me that allows those words to take root, that for me is acceptance. And as I said before, it's about coming home and saying I had this incredible revelation, and those around me saying, but I've been telling you that for months and months. And it's what happens in that moment where I can become the embodiment of my beliefs. I can own them through acceptance. And for me, it's not about controlling, like, oh, I'm going to accept this, I'm going to accept this. Wow. It's about letting go and allowing the acceptance to take root in me.
So what you're saying is you cannot force the acceptance process.
I can't. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So we can't shove it down your throat, right? We can't feed it into your head.
You probably can do a little forcing in a lower octave with receive.
I think you can.
Nina, you just take that invitation. I mean, right? Kristy, you had a passage from the book that you were going to read.
Yeah, it's from S.T.A.R. now state of being, and it's on page 64. And you wrote, if an idea is accepted, it is felt by the body as new truth, which may result in an action. The information, therefore, must go beyond being received for behavior or personality to shift.
So this is a beautiful example of how or why it is so important to have a good publisher, because what I've learned is that I write and then Ja-lene comes along and sprinkles fairy dust on it. So at this point, I can't tell which words were mine and which words were.
It's because we're one with it, you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so it doesn't matter, and we don't have this ego personality involved in it. Going, well, I wrote that line. You know, we don't have to have that because we can just sit and wonder and look at the whole process of being able to articulate.
Well, and I love the part that says, information must go beyond being received for behavior or personality to shift. And there's no magic formula for that. There's no explanation for why it may take me 100 times to get an internal concept, or why I might undergo a transformation in a moment.
Do you know what you're doing? You are absolutely zooming in on why I no longer teach. Because I can teach and teach and teach and teach and teach, which I don't think is half as effective as inspiring. And I want to inspire. That's what I want to do now. I want to say just that one trigger word that happened to magically come out of my mouth that was the aha for Kristy going home and saying, I know you told me over the last 6 years, but I got it.
Yeah. I watched a podcast this morning, and it was completely unrelated. It was something I was doing for work. He was a professional football player that is now a trainer. And he said, his name's Chris Howes, and he said, winning comes with acceptance.
Wow.
Then he went on to say, I'm paraphrasing, that accepting his skills and his gifts and his qualities as being valuable in this world and believing it is what he calls winning.
Wow. Oh, and don't you love how the universe just happened to put that in your hand this morning? Coincidence!
I know, and we can hire every motivational trainer in the world to try to cram it down our throat what our qualities and our value in this world is. But until we accept it, that's when the magic takes place.
Well, I think we're talking about self-love again, aren't we? So what I'd like to do is to go on the tangent we were on a few minutes ago, which is taking S.T.A.R and accept out of linear reality. I have been placing it after receive, and the question I posed a few minutes ago, and everybody knows the punchline now, is what does it look like in a quantum reality? Can it float around between S.T.A.R? Ja-lene, you want to share the answer?
Oh, yeah. I wrote it down.
And then this is when we realized that we weren't broadcasting.
Yeah, it gave us a little time for that to simmer. But it was fascinating. Oh, gosh, and I didn't even mean to use that word, but it was fascinating, because you were going through, who is accepting. And it can be fluid from thing to thing to thing to thing. In each of those actions, the accept is present. But who is accepting? And the answer that we concluded was the divine doesn't have to accept.
Right.
Acceptance or the word accept to the divine is irrelevant. It's only relevant to the ego or the personality that we have, that we accept these things. I know these things because I know these things. And the ego is going, but, am I qualified to know these things? Am I qualified to open my mouth and tell anyone about it? What credentials do I have to back up this information that I have? And so I think that acceptance is there as a tool to train the ego into merging and becoming one with our divine nature.
It's absolutely amazing. And I'll just tell you what happened. Last night I was pondering, I sometimes don't sleep all the way through the night, and I guess it was around 2 o'clock, and pondering this broadcast and asking myself what is a new higher octave of the word accept, which I confess I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about. And I mean, really, I don't know who was talking to me, my higher self, the universe, source, whatever, but I had such an enormous aha. And I'll just tell you the story, because I think we want to tell 1 or 2 stories before we invite everyone who's with us to come in and ask questions. Yesterday I was with a friend, and the short story is I had a revelation that the words on the table in front of me, which said Master of the Stars, was not talking about Archangel Raphael as I had expected, but those unique words were mine. Wow. So during the night I thought, everything I've been doing related to S.T.A.R would be a clue that maybe that's true. I started a S.T.A.R clinic, a S.T.A.R book, I have S.T.A.R logos, I have S.T.A.R pendants, I have a plaque at S.T.A.R Dreaming at the S.T.A.R temple in my honor. I mean, on and on and on and on. I speak S.T.A.R languages, I'm on S.T.A.R councils, but it never dawned on me that I might be a master of the stars. And I'm going to define master of the stars, meaning master from the stars, not master over the stars. So last night I said, okay, well, isn't this curious? We're in accept mode. I am going to make a declaration, and the declaration is I accept that I am a master of the stars. And then I thought, okay, well, maybe I'm supposed to talk about that on the broadcast. And then my ego jumped in and said, hold on there. That makes you pretty high and mighty. I don't think you want to do that. So then what occurred to me was my favorite question. Well, who are you? And the answer to that question is, I am not a master of the universe, or the, oh, that's good, master of the stars. That is how I'm expressing. And so then what came to me was, I'm not sure I can remember the sequence, but I got to the point where I said, I accept, there we go, I accept that I am expressing as a master of the stars. And that felt a little bit better because then I could say I express I accept that I'm expressing as Nina. I accept that I'm expressing as. And then I thought, well, how about we get rid of all those other things and just cut it down to I accept that I am. Wow, how incredible. And then you can have a whole list of things that I'm expressing as. Cleopatra, I mean, you name it. I can just, have a whole list of them. But none of them are who I am. So then it became absolutely okay for me to tell you that I'm a master of the stars, because it's not who I am. Just like you, we are bigger than that. bigger than Nina, bigger than author, with all due respect, Cleopatra, bigger than Cleopatra, bigger than Master of the Stars. Isn't that an enormous concept that you, everyone that's on this broadcast, and I are enormous beings of light that I am now calling I am? So then you go back to that sentence, I accept that I am, so who's the I? Who's the I that's accepting? And that's where this all came from. It is the ego. So I, the ego, accept that I am. I just love it. I think it's such a big breakthrough.
It's huge, and now I've got a question for you.
Uh-oh. Kristy, are you ready?
Okay, Nina.
Yeah.
If your ego were divine, what would happen?
Oh, I love that. And of course it is, because it's all part of the creation that I, as a beingness, have chosen to create. So that's really beautiful. So, oh, this is taking us really far. So I have a judgment that my ego is less than divine. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think so, yes.
So where we're going with this is to jump out of third dimension, where there is this polarity and there is the difference between the ego and the divine, to the quantum expanded octave of I am.
Yeah, so it's like, you could go through and look at how has my ego served me in merging with my own divinity. Because that's what it's doing. It's giving you the contrast. It's the angel and the devil.
Yes.
Is what it's giving us. Because the divine nature is what we would accept immediately as higher and as angelic, as precious in more of a way than the ego, which is disposable. Right? But that ego is giving us the contrast that moves us closer to merging.
And of course, as we've said so often, it's all perfect. And an extraordinary opportunity for learning. I don't know who I was listening to that suggested that third dimension is where we learn, and by the contrast you're talking about. So what do you think, Kristy?
I think if my ego accepted me as divine, if my ego accepted its divine role, then it would not be so fearful of the consequences of acceptance. So there's always that fear, well, if I accept that I'm a channeler, or if I accept that we talk star languages, or what, I'm just throwing things out there, then I have to be fearful of those around me who don't accept my truth.
Because the big fear of the ego is annihilation.
Yes.
The divine has no fear of annihilation because it's irrelevant.
And that's where we come into the acceptance of our own beliefs, not only what we believe about ourselves, about humanity, about anything, is that as soon as it becomes challenged, unless we have fully accepted and embodied our truth as our divine expression, then we become vulnerable to those who challenge our expression.
And so what we are condensing here is why the philosophy of S.T.A.R, now I'm going to say it differently, why the philosophy of a star accept S.T.A.R. Is so valuable to us in this new paradigm because it is presenting a new tool for us to navigate in these new starry waters. It is just such a gift.
And it requires, in my own life, acceptance requires great mastery. When you were talking, I just kept seeing a visual of, I go through my process just like everyone goes through their process, and some stretches, I'll have long stretches of acceptance, and then long stretches of I don't accept. Right now I'm not accepting all of my gifts. I don't believe them. I don't. So you see it all around us when we give each other compliments, and the first thing we do is deflect. Oh, this old thing, you know, you compliment my hair, and I'm going to immediately say, but look at my skin. It's horrible, right? This is when you talked about navigating the starry waters. I saw, this boat that is constantly upended and in this unrest, and acceptance, I feel, is what stabilizes in my own life. It's what
so when you accept that you're topsy-turvy, that's the key.
Oh, wow.
Right.
So it goes back to a former title of this broadcast, which is accepting the new normal.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just invite Joanne and Amber to get off mute and to jump in here and to play with us while they're doing that? Come on, Joanne. Amber, I know you're there too. Amber is from Holland, and Joanne, you're from Texas. Is that right? Yeah. So, Joanne, do you want to jump in with wise words?
Whoa, that's a challenge. Well, one of the things that when I was listening to the rest of you all in the beginning, a couple things stood out. One is that the accepting part, yes, is not linear. It doesn't have to come after the receive part necessarily. As a matter of fact, it usually means going back to the allow part in order to sort of execute it, if you will. At least that's kind of mentally the way I think about it. The other thing is I really, really resonated with you're not going to get to the accept part until something inside of you is triggered just the right way, and you can end up going around and around in circles. Although I like to think of it more as a spiral, because I feel like I am making progress.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I keep coming around to the same spot again at a different level, but it's not like a linear levels. It's just kind of like this spiral winding through space. It's not all going up versus down or sideways or whatever. It's just, hanging out. And so I find that at any given moment in time, I may be challenged with a very similar situation to what I saw before, and then I will have an opportunity to respond to it differently than I did before. And everything you've said about what the ego's role is a lot more complicated than people think. Some people think they're supposed to kill it, but you wouldn't be able to be here.
Right.
I've seen scenarios where you talk to it and forgive it like it's an inner child kind of thing, which can be useful.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's something important about it, just like you were talking about being the Queen of Egypt or whatever. What we're doing here on the planet seems to be a question of what role are you playing.
Mm-hmm.
Shakespeare was right. All the world's a stage, and all of us merely players. Oh, yay, So, not that we shouldn't take seriously what happens to us or really care about other people, but there is a kind of a play aspect to it, to how our personality manifests itself in the world, and we can decide at any given moment in time if we want to do it painfully or do it joyfully. And it's kind of up to us, because you're right, Ja-lene, the soul, hey, I'm just here for the experience. I don't care. There's no judgment in that space. The judgment is all with the ego being afraid of something or whatever. So you can't judge your soul can't judge your ego as being inferior, because that's not possible. There's no judgment that exists there. I just think that it seems like a combination of this not very effective communication technique we have called language, and that place where you get where there's this kind of weird shift that you can't explain exactly how it happens, and then you're going, why did I ever act that way? I don't know. And then you go on being whatever the different thing was from then on, and it's like it just washes through and recolors your entire insides, and the neurons in your brain go into a different place and connect in a different way, and you have some kind of, permanent, at least for this lifetime, change in the way you operate in the world.
You know what you're making me think of, Joanne? That movie Pleasantville, where everyone's in black and white. It's just like that. I mean, they got the pasty makeup instead of the red. She's trying to cover up that she's got feelings again. It's so like that, right?
Oh yeah, Pleasantville is like one of the most transformatively awesome movies I have ever seen. The way it was visually presented as to what actually goes on inside people when they transform totally from the inside out, and they showed us that. It was brilliant. It was totally brilliant. I get goosebumps right now thinking about it.
Wow, I need to watch that again. It's been many years.
Maybe we can take a tangent, which is the new normal, and learning how to accept it. How would you describe the new normal, Ja-lene? What is fundamentally different about the 26,000-year cycle that we're in?
Gosh, that's a big question. I'm supposed to be the one asking you questions.
Okay, I got the answer.
All right, we're right back at you, sister. You tell us.
And I'm gonna paraphrase Jim Self, who is a master of alchemy and a metaphysician. He said that on 12/21/12, he received a message from Archangel Metatron, who said, from this date forward, there will be no child born in the third dimension. That means, for me, that the foundation of third dimension is gone. It means to me that we are expanding into new octaves, new expressions, new creations, and I use so often the term starry water. So I have a memory of third dimension that I still carry, but its foundation does not exist in my truth. So I might have a tendency to want to fix it, put it back where it used to be, because that was comfortable. It's like when you get an illness and you want to go absolutely back to where you were and don't take a look at where you might go in a new direction and a new expression, and triggered by this illness. So there are some physical, tangible things that I can share with you, but I'd really love to hear from you that aren't the way it used to be. And am I wrong? Am I sick? Am I off kilter? Or is it the new normal that I am now choosing to accept?
I definitely think that is the new normal that you're trying to accept. It's really interesting because like the years leading up to 2012, it was almost like the training sessions were open for anyone who had wanted to sign up for it. So you started to experiment with the stuff where when you're walking, the ground's not very solid in front of you. You put a foot in, and all of a sudden you're sinking down below. It's like that movie, What Dreams May Come, and he's walking on water, and then he's falling down underneath, and so it's like, oh wow, whoa, this is a really crazy ride. Now, what I love about the new normal is it's a lot more exciting. It's not predictable, and it can be whatever we want it to be. I think one of the fascinating things about humanity in general is that we are, I think one of the greatest traits of humanity is the ability to mimic. And we've been mimicking for thousands and thousands of years the same archetypical patterns that humanity was created with initially. And we are so tired of that. Mm-hmm. We're aching for something fresh. So, we don't speak our truth and get burned at the stake, that's not where we want to be anymore. We just want to speak our truth and then kind of see what happens from there.
What do you think, Kristy, about the new normal? I think you've had a pretty big dose of it.
Yeah, I took a high dive into the new normal about 4 years ago, and my life completely changed, and all of my perceptions changed overnight. And when I thought about, when we were talking about the octaves of accept and going into I specifically tried to go into the third dimensional me in order to gauge what did accept used to mean to me. And immediately was flooded with some not so good things. I had these visions in my head of people saying, well, you just need to accept things the way they are. Meaning, stay in a life that's killing you. Or you just need to come over here and accept your punishment. Or, just accept it. You're a selfish. Or just accept it. You're a jerk. I was kind of floored by how many painful recollections of the word accept.
Yeah, because I think there's an ancient connotation, this ancient connection between the word accept and misery.
Yeah.
There is a thing there that needs to be snapped.
Right.
Where
because no one says, oh, well, just accept the way things are if everything's going fabulously.
Well, see, and I could give you a little bridge here because, like, if you said, give me my punishment now, I'd say, oh, honey, read 50 Shades of Grey, and you might have a whole different idea about punishment because it sounds like it could be pretty exciting and fun. And then it just transition everything. Punish me, yes, baby.
Okay, I'll put that on my list. Watch Pleasantville, read 50 Shades of Grey.
Okay.
Yeah, but I went to a reading the other night by a man named Paul Selig, who wrote I Am the Word. And he's a channeler. He's saying all of this using other words. But he said, I'll go through long stretches of time when I don't even believe in any of this. I don't even believe in channeling. He's also an academic. He's been a professor at NYU for 30 years. And he's got this whole other world. And what was beautiful about it is that he didn't perceive that. He didn't express that as a pathology. He just accepted that's who he was. There were going to be times when he was fully embodying this, and there were going to be times when he was saying, I don't even know if I can believe it.
And see, and I think you've really tapped into something else there, Kristy. Kristy, it's like when I've worked with different authors who channel material,
Mm-hmm.
I can say without exception that when they first were receiving that information as a channel, they couldn't accept that they were the source of the information.
Yeah.
But they could accept that they were getting all these insights because it was coming from somewhere outside of their self. And it's a bridge for them. And then they start to be able to assimilate that information inside. And then there comes a time when they go, I own that I am source too. And when they move to that place of I know that I am source too, then their work takes a massive transition from there. And it's really brilliant to watch.
Oh, I just love what you said, because that's why I stopped channeling.
Mm-hmm.
I made a declaration which is 24/7. I want just to speak it all the time.
Yeah.
Not on full moon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then when you get to that place, then there's no separation any longer.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if you've done, okay, well, I've got to do this first and this first, and then I've got to wait for just a little bit. And then, okay, when I feel this, then I can go ahead and go. You don't have to go through all that process
light a
anymore.
candle.
It's just,
Light a
let's go. That's rodeo. All right.
And not only that, another reason I stopped channeling is you do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why should I do it? You do it.
Mm-hmm.
This came directly from the Golden Dolphins. They said, everyone,
Yeah.
start talking. Bring in this universal wisdom. So it was a form of acceptance as well, that I am accepting myself big time.
You're accepting yourself as a source of information,
Right.
and you're accepting yourself as a source of information that disseminates it to other people on the planet. Because you plant seeds, Nina.
Mm.
Well, thank you. And I think 24/7 is what I want to add to that.
Mm-hmm.
Being the sovereign being, being the I am presence, being the beingness, 24/7. And that is why, Ja-lene, thank you for asking me, us, to write all these books.
Well, it's so funny because now I've got Maya Angelou in my head, and her one line from Phenomenal Woman, does my sassiness upset you?
Oh, no, joy. I'm gonna take a step.
Because the next line is something like, because I walk like I got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs.
Let me just take a break and invite Amber one more time to come off of mute. We really would enjoy your physical presence if you feel comfortable doing that.
It's pretty late. It's pretty late in the evening over there.
Well, she's still connected.
I know she's still connected, but
She might be
there she is. Oh, Amber.
Hi, everybody.
She accepted our invitation.
yay!
So Amber, just jump in and give us some thoughts on what accept looks like in the Netherlands.
Except the rain.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. The big storm is over there. Whoa.
No, I can so agree with all what you told, and I just love all the talking. It comes in, and I feel the wisdom and the truth in it. And for me, it was going all the time to me, know thyself as divine. And that is it. And I find it so brilliant when you said that you could accept that you were a master of stars, when you understand that even that was a concept in a way. It is not who we truly are. Who we truly are is so divine, and so there is such a huge loving intelligence, and we are so just a part of it, a divine part, and that's a blessing. And to accept that is for me was a long way, and still, but Okay. And I also loved very much that you said the ego, in a way, is also divine. Because we always have from, oh, we must be spiritual, and that ego, oh, but we can't do without that because it's helping us to navigate through life.
Yeah.
And that's why
So,
I love the word wholeness so much, because
yes,
for me it's the junction point between the descending divine and the ascending human. Um, Amber, you're just an amazing being. She has been participating nonstop, as Joanne knows, on the S.T.A.R. Wisdom Circle Google Hangout calls, and really been so enthusiastic, and I think we've made some huge leaps in the conversations, don't you, Amber?
yes, we really did. Yes.
I love this intimacy that we're able to have. You know.
And safety,
Yeah. Yeah.
even though the broadcast button was hit. And we're going all over the planet with this. It still feels intimate and safe.
Mm-hmm.
And respectful and validating. And
Yeah.
I think, Amber, one of the first things you said on one of the first calls was how amazed you were that you shared so much about yourself so quickly. Is that not true?
Yes. It's the energy. Or the
So,
divine in
so
us who finally can express.
is that the new normal?
I guess so.
Yeah, and now Amber and Joanne know each other, and that's just delicious. Really
I think
delicious.
it's a much more friendly world for empaths these days. It more people kind of accept the idea, even if they're not, uh, aware of angels or think of themselves as channeling or woo-woo anything. There is an acceptance of the idea that we can feel each other's emotions. And some people may attribute it to just, body language or nonverbal communication, but then we find we can even feel that when we're, talking to somebody on the phone, or it's an extension of how you feel when you're watching a really good movie and you feel the emotions of the characters. And I've just noticed people in my children's generation pretty much take this for granted, that they can do this, and there are more and more of them. I think you mentioned Metatron or whatever said that all the new children who are coming in are going to be this way. And what I like about it is the naturalness of it. It's not seen as the next supernatural divine thing you have to go to a special church or a special place to get. It's just part of how we are made, and it's accepted as a natural thing, even if there's no specific scientific measurement or whatever at this point. I see and hear a lot more mainstream acceptance of the idea of energies that you can feel and sense kind of outside of the five senses that people have usually accept. Even my dad, okay, we're talking Depression era. He was born in 1930. He still tells the story of when my sister was giving birth to her fourth child and they were having trouble. My dad was out in a field cutting hay at the time, and he could feel that she was in trouble and she needed him. He'd been taking care of cows and stuff, so he knew all about birth and the problems of helping and stuff like that. He didn't just jump off and try to run to help her because he knew she was in the hospital and was well taken care of. But it turned out that the umbilical cord had been in a place where the baby could push it down. It was lying on his shoulder, and so he was having trouble. And my dad found out about this later and found out that it happened at exactly the time he was out there in the field. And this is an electrical engineer in the World War II generation. Okay? And he accepted this as his own reality.
Wow.
Okay? So think about that. He's like, now he's, that this was a while ago, but, now he's 80-some years old. So even though, I get goosebumps thinking about that one too. I got my children at one end who are just taking this naturally. This whole planet is, the humanity on it is shifting around in all kinds of different ways. This just amazes me. It changes in my own lifetime.
It is amazing.
I find that is true with Earth-based things too, as far as people connecting to empaths and opening to angelic energies and whatever. But the same is true for the language and the interconnection we have with the earth all around us: trees, flowers, butterflies, rocks. People are talking about, oh, the energy of this rock that I picked up on my hike was just unbelievable. And yes, we live in Santa Fe, and some people think that's kind of a bubble, but I'm talking to people, all over the planet, and they're saying things like this. So a new normal is emerging.
And yet it's also an old normal too, Kristy, because what you just said is stuff that native peoples and ancient peoples were connected to hundreds and thousands of years ago that we lost connection to in the modern era. So it's like we're going back to that in some sense too, yeah.
Well, let me just jump in here and talk about the new energy that, in my truth, is being emitted from the great central sun through the sun to planet Earth and humanity, and the many beings of light who are communicating that there is a physical shift occurring at this particular moment in the evolution of consciousness. I'm not going to go into it because I don't have any real understanding of silicon and carbon and all of that. And I will use myself as an example. I keep telling everyone that I experience what I call Alka-Seltzer in my head. And I think this is important to talk about, not that particular expression of what I believe is change, but the fact that it could be possible that there is truth in this, and that it is also, I believe, important that we maintain an old tradition of checking things out, going to the doctor and seeing all of the proper people. I mean, I have talked to physicians, I have had brain electrodes on my head, I've done all sorts of things, and I think that I am physically just fine, and yet why do I have Alka-Seltzer bubbles in my head? I can't tell you why, but I believe that they are, you might call them an ascension symptom. So I wanted to bring this up because we are receiving absolutely different X-ray, gamma frequencies from the great central sun. And what I know also to be my truth is that they are no longer, what's the right word, well, diffused. I believe that humanity was not physically capable of accepting the highest frequencies of light, and they were, the word's almost on the tip of my tongue, transmuted, or no, that's wrong, tamped down. But now that no longer is the case.
I've heard a really good analogy of that from Susan Rossi, who's an amazing person I worked with several years ago in Atlanta. And she said it's like this. She said, with our electricity, we've got the wires. And the wires connect transformers together. And the transformer is the thing that holds the bulk of the energy. And then It goes out of those little lines and it comes to your house, and it goes into your house, and then there's a plug in the wall. And that's what it's been occurring, but we're in the transformer.
Uh-huh.
Even that term is very accurate to what we're going through right now, because we're plugged directly into high voltage instead of having it go through all those other little lines to where we just have a little bit of it.
Beautifully put. Kristy, does this resonate with you?
Oh, absolutely. I've experienced strange tinglings, bizarre pains in my joints, eye disorders, my ears are constantly toning and pressuring in and out and in and out. And it's really just gotten to the point where I have accepted. I've also accepted that I don't have any answers. I have no idea why my body's going through these things, and I don't have any interest in trying to figure it out.
And one more level of accept to that is that tomorrow it can be completely different. Just because you have that going on today doesn't mean that the next day it's not going to be completely different. But then at the same time, you've got to go in and ascertain in that moment through your own self-awareness of your physical body if it's something where you need traditional medical assistance with, like heart, kind of things going on. I've had some heart kind of things going on, and I didn't hang out to wait and see what was going on. I went directly to the emergency room, that was occurring. I wasn't going to mess with that. And so there's some things you don't mess with, but after a while of going through these experiences, you can go, okay, well, this is just something that I don't need assistance with forever, or, I'm just not going to mess around with this one, and then you go get assistance. So for me, it's like that.
And there's a lot of wisdom in our bodies, and whatever's happening, it doesn't mean that we don't need to tend to it, but it's an invitation to go deeper into it and ask ourselves, what does this experience mean to me in this moment, and what's it trying to teach me, and how can I grow from it? And for me, there's no judgment. There's no judgment. If I decide to go to the doctor and have something checked out by Western medicine, I'll do it. I don't care. It's not gonna. If it is some kind of ascension symptom, it's not gonna go away because I go to the Western MD. It's just part of my process of assimilating the information.
Yeah, and you can also call the game of what's going on with your physical body too. One of my symptoms that I had over and over and over again is with migraine headaches, and I get like the whole halo thing going on in the eyes, and then the pain comes when the halos leave.
Yeah.
But what I begin to understand is that during those times there was something that I was assimilating, and if I was aware enough to where I would assimilate it, then I wouldn't get spanked and be told to go lay down until they're done, so to speak. And so then the frequency of my migraines has been fairly rare now, in contrast to when I wasn't paying attention to it and modifying my schedule.
I just want to go back to, I think, a prior broadcast conversation, and if not fresh information, but there's a wonderful book called The 12 Layers of DNA by Lee Carroll, channeled from Cryon, and he talks about the quantum DNA field, which scientists refer to as junk DNA, and in that field, one of the layers is your ability to heal yourself. And the most important message from that ancient wisdom that we have forgotten is that field has a consciousness and it wants to hear from us. So what I'm suggesting is that when we have questions about what is this migraine in my eye all about, or what are the bubbles in my head all about, ask. But ask yourself. Ask the wisdom, the innate wisdom within, and begin to learn how to trust it. And So that's just another piece of the puzzle.
I just had an aha, Dina.
Oh, yippee! Oh, are we broadcasting so we get it recorded?
Okay. Did the bubbles come for you when they put bubbles on your site, or was it previous to that?
What Ja-lene's talking about is the new design of my website as opposed to what it was last year. Wow. I don't think so. I think it came. Oh, let's say yes. What a wonderful answer. I choose yes. I'm going to change my memories and my past, and I'm going to choose that one.
Yes. So the bubbles are on your website. They represent what?
The particles of creation from which I believe all matter materializes from.
And so then what would the symbolic thing that's going on in your head be?
Oh, are we going to solve this? How exciting! And the answer is?
And the answer is that it's potential that's bubbling up inside your mind. And it just needs form around it. Like you gave it a container on your website. That's a container for the information. And so those forms that are inside of you bubbling around right now, which are slightly annoying from what I'm gathering from you.
Well, they don't hurt. They don't, no, at one point I had enormous pressure in my head, so much so I had to ask for magic to have that go away.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just giving it a container. Just give it a container.
I love it. So I'm going to tell you the rest of last night, just because it's part of this. So I was working with a healer by the name of Diane Ely in Ohio and asking her to help relieve the pressure that I feel in these two muscles, which makes it difficult, or did yesterday, to have full perception. And what came from that session was a sense of a tuning fork and the stem of the tuning fork going all the way down into the earth, and these two forks going up out of my head up into the cosmos. So last night when I was playing around with my being a master of the stars, what came to me was that I have been restricting, Kristy will understand this, I was breathing into these muscles and the aha came through that I have been restricting my perception of who I am because I couldn't turn my, when you drive the car, I'm almost dangerous because I can't see behind to see whether I'm backing over somebody. So I'm restricting the perception of who I am, and so I went through the accepting process last night of accepting that I am a master of the stars and I am a receiver and transmitter. And this tuning fork that is etherically in me is allowing me to be the communicating vehicle or the wormhole or the portal or whatever you want to call it between Gaia and the stars. And that then I had another aha, which was that I accepted that I would have the noise and the information and the bubbles in my head, whatever all that's about, to become very precise and to be transmitted, because I think that's part of what this is all about.
So it's about giving form to the unformed.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah. But it started with acceptance, Ja-lene. I had last night to accept that I am this master, and that is not who I am. So why not talk about it? Because it's no big deal. That's an important point. No big deal. We got to learn to talk about these. Got to learn to talk about these things. And so these ascension symptoms, I believe, are part of the magic of why I'm on the planet. And when I say I'm really talking about we, because each one of us is like I am. I could say you are.
Mm-hmm.
You are whatever you are. You're the beingness of you are-ness.
Okay, so you define creator being you. All right, I got another challenge for you. Just
Okay.
one more. Just one more. Okay. I want you to delete symptom and ascension. Delete those words. Now, what do you call it?
Yeah.
Integration.
Oh.
It's just simply integration. If you're in the presence of octaves and there's no hierarchy, ascension becomes irrelevant. So, and then the symptom of becoming more than you are becomes irrelevant. So now we're just integrating.
Oh, I love that. Oh,
And then we can follow that little spiral that Joanne's got going on over there, where we're whooshing around.
Yeah. Well, this
Perfect.
goes into the 2013 dictionary then, huh?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, I think maybe we should wrap up a little bit here, and so what I'd like to do is let's start with Amber. You want to say bye-bye, Amber, and something brilliant in Flemish?
Well, the only thought what was coming up with me in our last conversation was we have all those physical experiences, but when we are in the quantum field and we are connected, and maybe we are in some ways more connected to some souls than to other souls. Someone gave me the idea that when I have a lot of pain in my higher heart, it can be that I am connected to places or to people who are going through some, what Joanne also said, through some pain. And that it wasn't necessary in the new normal to go through that, but just to accept it and to bring it on a higher level so that we all raise up.
That's enormous, Amber. I mean, that is such a huge jump from a conversation a week ago.
Yes.
Really?
I know.
Amazing. Thank you, Joanne, for assisting in that also.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. So, Joanne.
Oh, I think the best thing to take from this conversation is to go back to the theme, which is about acceptance, and to remember that it's not a linear thing. Okay? Yeah, my spiral. Okay. And we are constantly being asked to integrate all aspects of S.T.A.R, surrender, trust, allow, receive, in order to accept the good that is always coming to us, and we always have free will to accept that invitation and do something with it whenever and however we choose. So.
I love the whenever, because maybe not today.
And that's okay.
Right, right. I think if I had known everything I know today on one day 2 years ago, I would have blown my circuits. Yeah.
I almost did that once. It was interesting.
I did too.
So it's a process, and your body's wisdom knows exactly when to accept.
Yep.
Kristy, you want to jump in?
Well, I think that I loved this conversation today. It was just fabulous. Thank you, Amber and Joanne, for joining us. It was lovely to meet you, Amber. I'm having fun right now in my own life because it really is for me about acceptance. Whatever pattern I'm going through, I have done a really good job beating myself up over in the past over whatever pattern I was in, because I tend to be highly productive, and that works okay until I spin myself into such a state that I have an adrenal crisis and I can't get out of bed for a week, you know. So for me, it's really all been about accepting whatever pattern I'm in the moment. And if that means that I'm not going to get a lot done this week, then that means I'm going to have a relaxing week, and there are not going to be any shoulds, and there are not going to be any judgments about that. And for the first time in my life, I'm embodying this. I really believe it. And I'm finding that if I just let myself go with the pattern, with those waves, with that spiral that Joanne talks about, overall I'm so much more productive in my life. It just doesn't look any one way. So thank you for letting me talk about this today and getting energy moving. And Nina said this is going to be a really, really important talk, and I just think it really is. I think this is one of the most crucial philosophies that we're talking about in this moment in time. So, love you all.
Thanks, Kristy.
Love you too.
Ja-lene, do you want to?
Well, sure. I'm sitting here listening to, everything that we've gone through today, and it's been really brilliant. Just really brilliant group of people. Thank you, Amber, for coming in. We got to meet you. It's so wonderful to see you. And Joanne, I love you. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So, but I'm going into this vision as you guys are talking about what you got from today, and I'm imagining what it would be like 300 years from now if someone got a hold of this Google conversation and was looking at it, and they'll go, man, can you believe how hard it was for them to get that? It's so easy. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we are the avant-garde. We are the first through the birth canal, so to speak, first through to walk this path in this way. But those that come after us, it will be very easy for them. So anyway, that's my thoughts.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you to all of you, and for providing this safe, intimate space, and for sharing so intimately and safely with each one of us and the hundreds of thousands of people over time and over planet who will be viewing this. I guess what I would like to...
There's lots of makeup. I wasn't believing I should be here.
But you look gorgeous.
After all,
gorgeous.
I love it. So my final words are just a restatement of what I think I say almost every time, which is my truth is that we came back from the stars, and we came back at this particular moment in the evolution of consciousness to try again, to create the next golden age. But more than that, to anchor it, to nourish it, and to grow it. And I know without a doubt that we can't do it alone. We now have tools. We have technology supporting spirituality. That is this Google Hangout that we're working with. And other technologies that I don't even know about. We are now able to create this incredible flower of life, circle intersecting with circle all over the planet, and dreaming together, but dreaming with coherent speaking. And the gift that S.T.A.R gives us, the gift that S.T.A.R gives us, is that we have a platform we have a platform for this coherent thinking and coherent speaking, and that as our words go out into the field, as our thoughts are spinning around in our heads and going out into the field, we are creating very high octave, high frequency, or I would say expanded octaves of conversations and dreams that are indeed creating the new earth. So what we did today was not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in the physical coming together. It was exponential dreaming that is, as Ja-lene said, planting seeds all over the planet and creating the new earth. So how, in Joanne's words, can I say thank you big enough for what we've done today and how we've played together? Really, it is enormous. So on a lighter note, we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. Next month is November. Or tomorrow's November or something like that. 26, same time, same place, but different topic. Again, Foundation of S.T.A.R. But if I remember correctly, it's going to be more about the fascinated observer. And we're doing it that way because in the United States, we have Thanksgiving coming up. And Thanksgiving is kind of fun with family members that are pushing buttons. And so we're going to take S.T.A.R. into the application of S.T.A.R. in everyday life, looking at holidays or whatever we want to play with, but as the fascinated observer.
Yeah, subtitled Beyond Drama.
Okay, I love that.
Soap opera.
Right, Beyond Drama. Oh, and that's a chapter in the book, which is kind of fun too. Okay, everybody feel complete? Have we sort of said what we want to say? Okay, then how about mwah, bisous, bisous.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.